right, these are probably my favorite types of videos to make, even though I've only made one of them. We have Anthony Joshua versus Wladimir Klitschko. This is the retrospective. I'm going to go through what I remember about the fight and just go through the fight and what it was like. It's basically, this is a pre-fight reaction years on from the fight. So on the 29th of April 2017, Anthony Joshua defeated Wladimir Klitschko by TKO in the 11th round for the IBF World Heavyweight title and the WBA World Heavyweight title. The IBO was also there, if you care. This is an all-time classic heavyweight fight. This is a very interesting one. This is a good fight. This is a great fight. Memorable. Wembley Stadium in front of 90,000 fans, beating Carl Froch versus George Groves, which was the record at the time with, 80,000 fans?
When I chinned Groves at Wembley in front of 80,000 fans.
So this fight is historically significant and is one of the more memorable fights of the last decade. It's been not even been a decade yet. Joshua came in at 250 pounds, Wladimir Klitschko at 240 pounds. This is an incredibly interesting fight. Now, getting into both men, Wladimir Klitschko entered the fight with a record of 64-4. He was coming off a loss a year previously to Tyson Fury, which was by decision, of course. I believe it was a unanimous decision. Wladimir Klitschko, of course, I believe the second longest running heavyweight champion of all time behind Joe Louis, had beat guys like Kubrat Pulev, Alexander Povetkin in a disgraceful fight, by the way. Quick tangent, that fight was like, Klitschko was known for his holding, which I'm going to get into in this video, but there was moments in that fight where Klitschko would pull Povetkin's head down, lean on the back of his neck, and his feet would literally come off the ground. It was absolutely disgraceful. Also had wins against the likes of Marius Wack, Tony Thompson, David Hay, Samuel Peter, Eddie Chambers, Hasim Rahman, Tony Thompson, Lamont Brewster, Chris Bird, Samuel Peter again. Yeah, it was definitely a weaker era of the heavyweight division, but Klitschko did dominate. He was undefeated for about 11 years during that reign. So it is impressive at any point in your career to go undefeated in, the heavyweight division, especially where one punch can change anything. Anthony Joshua himself, in the fight, had a record of 18-0. I believe all 18 wins were by knockout. At the time, Anthony Joshua's resume wasn't really anything to note. He had wins against Eric Molina, Dominic Brazil, Charles Martin, Dillian White, which was probably his best win at the time. Kevin Johnson, Matt Skelton, I guess. Yeah, nothing to write home about. This was Joshua's breakout performance. This was, I've said it before, say it again, a classic of a fight, a really, really great heavyweight title fight. Even though Tyson Fury had beaten Klitschko a year earlier, this fight well and truly marked the changing of the guard and the changing of the era, mainly because, first of all, it was definitive. It was the end of Klitschko, but also Joshua kind of beat him in a fashion where it was much, 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 much more memorable than Tyson Fury's win. Tyson Fury's win, as impressive as it was boring, quite frankly. Whereas this fight was grueling, entertaining, scrappy in moments, and just a war, really. Let's just get into the fight, though, man. I'd say the first kind of 4 rounds were very, very, very cagey rounds. I would say that's more Joshua. That suited Wladimir a lot more. He looked very, very comfortable. Joshua was kind of trying to find his rhythm, really find his moment. That was kind of his style back then. He'd kind of look for his moment, find a shot, hurt his opponent, flurry them with, put his shots together, rapid combinations. Obviously, big guy, powerful shots, and that was kind of hard to do in the pace of which that suited Klitschko. Obviously, with Fury and Klitschko, Fury was constantly feinting. didn't really allow Klitschko to settle, so Klitschko couldn't really dictate the pace and the range of the fight. That was all down to Fury, whereas Joshua doesn't really have that kind of fast twitch feinting game. And yeah, up until about, I'd say, the 5th round, well, the first 2 rounds are very, very cagey. The 3rd round, Joshua tries to kind of stamp his authority and turn the pace of the fight into his, turn the fight into his fight, let's put it like that. Not to really any success. Klitschko finds some counters and gets Joshua's respect, puts him back in the box. 4th round, more of the same, another cagey round. 5th round, Anthony Joshua. This is what I mean by the clinching game of Klitschko. Klitschko likes to fight fights behind his lead hand, get behind the jab, kind of dictate the range, measure, find his right hand if he was to get the knockout right. Very left hand dominant fighter. Like to keep it at long range, dictate the distance, know the range, find the timing. When it came to the inside, he was more or less clueless. What he would do was just simply tie up. But with the younger, bigger, I'd say more tenacious man, right, in Anthony Joshua, he simply couldn't really get a grip of Joshua when Joshua was fresh. So Joshua kind of caught him in an exchange, puts him down, not too heavy, but of course Klitschko gets back up. Joshua kind of gets a bit too overexcited, blows his load, punches himself out, looks in dire shape by the end of the round. Like he looks like he's fallen apart at the end of the round. It's quite startling, really. Going into the 6th round, early in the round, Klitschko kind of measures with the left, blinds Joshua with it. It's not really a punch, just kind of blinds him with it, and then follows through with the right hand. And there's actually a shot after, which does kind of clip Joshua as a left hook. But if Joshua had maybe been more postured up, like maybe the right hand didn't drop him in the way in which it did, maybe if he kind of went back with a shot, probably would have finished the fight. The left hook that Klitschko was going to follow through with drops Joshua very heavy, very, very, very heavy. And in retrospect, it's incredibly impressive because Joshua's the type of guy, and he always kind of has been, who, if he gets hit, stays hit. We saw it in the Ruiz fight, we saw it in the Dubois fight. And back then, considering he was falling apart at the end of the 4th round, is the end of the 4th round. No, end of the 5th round. It's very, very impressive that he got through. You'd have to attribute that to his youth and his just determination, I guess. But yeah, Joshua gets back up. From that point onwards, it's kind of dictated by Klitschko for a few more rounds behind the jab at long range, like I said. But then Joshua kind of starts to find his way back into the fight. Klitschko wasn't really having much success with his right hand. Joshua was able to get out of the way of a lot of them. If he was doing anything well in this fight, it was after he got dropped, staying out of the way of Klitschko's right hand, which is why I think Joshua's boxing ability is very, very underrated. I think that was displayed in the Usyk fight, the second one. He looked quite uncomfortable in the first Usyk fight, but in the second Usyk fight, I thought Joshua looked really, really good from, just a technical boxing perspective. I thought he kept up fairly well up until he doesn't, which is kind of the story of most Usyk opponents, right? Some of them are able to keep up and then they kind of slow because it's kind of just what Usyk does. I've always rated Joshua's boxing ability. Olympic gold medalist, of course, controversially, I admit. I agree with the narrative that he is very controversial. I don't even think he should have been a bronze medalist. I don't even think he should have qualified. But it is what it is. He did win it. He was there. Did a job. And yeah, this fight kind of, I said the early rounds were cagey, and they were. But they were cagey. It wasn't Klitschko was out. But I've not at any point said Klitschko was outboxing Joshua. It was very, very close, which I think is a testament to Anthony Joshua. The fight starts to kind of go late, kind of go into championship rounds, which you'd think for Klitschko, that's a good thing, right? Because he's the more experienced in championship fights. The thing with Wladimir Klitschko, he never did well in a dogfight. He never really had a dogfight. He always kind of capitulated and fell apart when it came to those kind of moments, which is why this fight was kind of despite it being a loss, was a great way to end his career because he did himself proud and finally, despite getting finished, it went out on his shield where he'd never really done that before. He kind of lost and he felt, there's a bit more that could have been done there. You maybe could have been able to save yourself there. And yeah, this fight kind of starts to go late, and it wasn't good for Klitschko because it wasn't like he was outboxing Joshua. Like I said earlier, it was a war, right? And when you've got a younger, stronger, very, very determined guy who hasn't got to the level you've got to, it's a dangerous prospect, right? So yeah, the fight kind of starts to go late. We hit the 11th round, which is one of the most memorable rounds. Well, it has one of the most memorable punches, I'd say, in heavyweight boxing, probably ever, right? If you look at where Klitschko kind of ranks all time and how big this fight was. It goes back to what I said about the clinch, goes back to what I said about the scrappy exchanges. Klitschko was having success in the clinch post Joshua kind of exploding and punching himself out post 5th round. He was in moments able to tie up Joshua. In moments, Joshua was tying up Klitschko. But Klitschko was having a bit more success because Joshua was a bit more tired. But come to when Joshua got his second wind, it once again went to how it was originally. Joshua hits Klitschko very early in a round, I believe, with a counter right hand. Another underrated skill of Anthony Joshua is timing, and his accuracy is very, very good. He's an underrated natural counterpuncher. He hurts Klitschko very badly. They get into a bit of a scrappy exchange. Klitschko goes to hold. Joshua hits him with a hellacious uppercut. That's the only way I'd describe it. It was absolutely brutal. And for a guy, Wladimir Klitschko, who was a guy who, if you could hit him, you could put him down. How he did not go down from that is a fucking mystery.
Put his shots together. It's all right saying it, but it's another thing doing it. If you feel it,
it was an absolutely fucking amazing uppercut. Jesus Christ. Yeah, puts Klitschko down after that. Referee was very generous to Klitschko, as he should be. He's a champion. He should be allowed to go out in a manner of which that is absolutely definitive. Klitschko gets back up. Joshua pursues him, a bit more measured than the last time he had hurt Klitschko. Gets Klitschko on the ropes, drops him again with a flurry of shots. Joshua was a very, very good counterpuncher back in the day. Not counterpuncher, combination puncher back in the day. Puts him down again. Ref lets him up. Similar thing happens. Joshua backs him up. Ref calls it with Klitschko standing. He was just taking too many. He took another right hand, kind of sunk, and that was that. But yeah, man, that's the fight. That's the story of the fight. Really, really, really entertaining heavyweight fight. It goes by quick as well. I suggest you guys watch it if you haven't. Obviously, I'm doing this video because of Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul fighting this weekend, Friday. Yeah, just trying to get the content out. I like doing these videos. It just allows me to talk about fights that, first of all, it allows me to be positive about a lot of fighters, like Tyson Fury, who I haven't spoke positively about in fucking ages, the last one, and Joshua, who, yeah, I've had some negatives to say about in recent times just because of the most recent performance, right? But yeah, thank you for watching. Goodbye.